Hello, welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Devecioglu, your host. Today, I am welcoming you episode 70. We are in season 2, and this is our last episode for season 2. Our next episode will be season 3. We are excited to have new educational and informative business podcast episodes in the American Business Podcast. American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. And today's number is 200 billion. This is $200 billion globally ERP software market size to be expected for by 2033. Today we'll be talking about ERP software market, AI, and technology. We have a great guest today. Let's welcome our guest and get the conversation started. Hello, Chuck. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is all mine. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday and happy long weekend.
Yes. Any plans for the weekend?
No, I think I'm going to hang out in Newport this weekend.
Nice. Yes, it's gonna be a nice weekend. The weather is nice. Yeah, it's a great time to be out and plan things out.
How about you?
Yeah, I'll be around in New York metro area. That is a plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a good time to be out, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. Great.
Well,
Well,
no shortage of things to do in Metro New York, right?
that is for sure. Yes, that's for sure. Well, this is our second session with you, a second episode, I must say. I like to call it part two because there are many things that we can talk in different, um, from different perspectives. And today's is very exciting for me because we got great feedback after our first episode with you. I will say part one, right? And I like to continue our conversation uh, after the first episode we had together and expand on certain subjects such as AI, ERP software, market, and so on, if that's okay. So I'm really excited for this conversation.
Well, me too, and great to be back.
Appreciate it. Well, let's get started. Um, when we met a couple of months ago in the previous episode that when we had a chance to chat and converse, AI was popular and AI is still popular, right? And we are pretty much getting news, something new is happening that we are following in news pretty much every single day. From your point of view, what is the impact of AI on ERP software technology?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's a question, a lot of people are asking, especially, executives, right? Um, AI is an incredibly useful tool, right? I mean, we've all experienced AI in both our personal and professional lives, whether you're using Chat GPT or Perplexity or any of these other, AI engines out there, right? Um, but bringing them into the ERP world is really going to change what we do, right? Like today, to extract data or to do data analytics, you're going to do, reports or views or BI or, any of these other tools to analyze your data. But by introducing AI to an ERP database, I'm going to be able to have an analytical conversation about my business with AI, much like the conversation you and I are having right now, right? I'll simply be able to ask, hey, what were my top 5 selling items in the last 4 months? And I will get a response and I'll get an accurate response, right? So I think that AI is really going to help us take ERP to that very next level where we're going to be able to converse with the database, so to speak, and
Mm.
ask questions and more detailed questions to extract knowledge and analytics from the database that today would only be able to be done through a report or a BI integration or something like that that will require other resources behind the scenes to create those databases or cubes or whatever. This is more open architecture, right? But it comes with risks, right? I mean, so all in all, I think that AI coming to the ERP market is essential. I think it's going to revolutionize the way people utilize the database. I think that Copious is uniquely positioned because we're partnered with Acumatica, as you know, as our primary software solution, right? And Acumatica has a unique licensing model, and that is it's unlimited users. So by having an unlimited user model and combining AI, you're now going to be able to allow every employee within your organization to extract appropriate data, right? But I think the risks are how do we control security so that employees don't have access to critical or information they shouldn't have access to. So it's not without its risks or downfalls. So there's still much work to be done for sure, but I'm super excited about the introduction, even at these early stages.
Should AI be regulated?
Whew, wow. Yes, absolutely. But, I think that the internet as a whole should be regulated, right? There's so much misinformation on the internet as it is today and social media and everything else. Unfortunately, AI is going to pull all of these resources, right? So AI is not an infallible tool set. AI is, we have to remember that AI is a software program. It's an engine, right? And it's going to, if it's looking at inaccurate data, it's going to pull inaccurate results. It's not always going to give you the correct answer or the answer you're looking for. It may misinterpret what you're asking and point to a data source that is, not appropriate. And you'll have to dig further, refine your search. But to get back to your question, should it be regulated? Yes, I think that as just a general society, I think we're in a place with technology where law is woefully behind where it needs to be to support the technology. I'm all for the technology. I think the technology is improving, our existence. However, I do firmly believe that the legalities of that and need to catch up. I think in this case, technology has leaped far ahead of the legal aspects of our society. So yes, if you ask me, yes, I am a proponent, and I do believe that AI needs to be regulated. Yes.
Well, I'd like to ask a question from leadership point of view. Surviving crisis and uncertainty. How to survive in the event of crisis in the market and in the times of uncertainty that business is experiencing. What are the ways to survive in general?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a great question. And I'm not saying you can't survive, right? I mean, look, the world has just come through COVID, right? We've come
True.
through a pandemic. And, if you had asked 10-year-old Chuck or 15-year-old Chuck or 20-year-old Chuck, would I be living through a global pandemic? I would have said, "Psh, no, that's not going to happen in my lifetime, right? Just like there's not going to be a major earthquake or Mount Vesuvius isn't going to erupt, right? I mean, there's all these things that could happen that we expect aren't going to happen until they do, and then we're genuinely shocked that they did, right? So why do I say that? I say that because I think you have to, as a leader, you have to plan for crisis, right? You have to plan for crisis. Many organizations were woefully prepared for a global pandemic, right? Many organizations crumbled, many survived, many have cropped up in its path and in its wake, right? It's had almost a what appears to be a permanent effect on the economy, right? So I think for myself, it's as an organization, you have to, plan for the best, but also plan for the worst. And the worst thing we can do as leaders is, stick our head in the ground and pretend it's not going to happen. Or when it begins to happen and the writing's on the wall, is to go into a state of denial, right? For a business to survive, almost any business, you have to be nimble and you have to react. And good leaders almost predict what's going to happen. And it's okay, I think, as a leader to move in a direction because you predict or you foresee that this is going to happen, right? And great leaders do have the ability to foresee what's coming. So I think to summarize, can you survive a crisis? Absolutely. But you'll need to be nimble. You'll need to make rapid decisions. And all of those decisions are not going to be easy decisions. They're going to be difficult decisions that are going to impact people's lives, right? The best way to survive a crisis is to simply plan ahead.
Yes. Let's continue.
Yeah, so I think the best plan is always to plan ahead, right? We just came through the COVID pandemic, right? A global pandemic. None of us expected that, right? Which I, think that, I don't think any of us thought we would be living through a global pandemic, but here we are. We did, right? And many companies didn't survive. Many companies did with the help of, several aid that was available, and new companies have cropped up in its path, and it's had a permanent effect on our economy, right? So I think that, planning ahead is great, but if you're going to survive, if you didn't plan ahead, right, you're going to have to be nimble. As a company, you're going to have to be able to make rapid decisions, and you should be able to read the tea leaves, right? I mean, as a leader, one of your primary responsibilities is to drive the company in a direction, right? And in that direction, it's part of being able to read the tea leaves and more or less predict where you think your market is going to go, or the economy is going to go, and and reinventing and preparing yourself for what's coming. And as leaders, we make good decisions. We find ourselves in the right place at the right time. That's great. And sometimes we find ourselves in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And, I think as leaders, we're never going to be right 100% of the time, but you hope you're right more times than not. But you need to have a plan B. You need to have planned for that plan B. What happens if, I do find myself in a state of crisis? I think the big takeaway there is be nimble, and make decisions quickly. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Don't find yourself in a state of denial. Hope is never a good business plan, right? So, yeah, I would advise against that. And, plan ahead. Plan ahead as best you can. Be financially solid so that you can survive crisis, that, a small crisis isn't going to derail your organization, right? Be financially responsible.
In your view, and according to your, of course, professional experience, what are the best marketing channels bring the highest ROI?
Yeah, I mean, that's different for everybody, right? So I can only speak for, this industry, software. The ERP market is a very difficult market. Everybody needs it, right? Everybody needs, um, ERP to run a business. Um, but it's a major overhaul to an organization, right? It puts an organization at risk. So, while you're reaching forward to improve technology for your organization, you are taking huge risks. And there's a lot of players in the ERP marketplace. And unfortunately, in our market, as a buyer, once you dip your toe in that water, you're inundated. I mean, literally inundated with emails and phone calls. And I mean, to the point where prospective buyers will like shut down, right? I mean, they just can't deal with that influx of information. So what we find is that paid lead channels are the most successful. Outbound, just pure raw outbound marketing, email marketing, electronic marketing these days is bad. We find that channels like podcasts and social media and having followers is a fantastic way to gain brand recognition. um, but really attracting new business, we find that paid qualified leads are the best because they've already been vetted, they've already been through that initial process, and you're already kind of in a narrower band. So I feel that it's easier to have a conversation with a prospective buyer. And I think you're starting at a better place. Certainly, the internet has helped, of course. Prospective buyers rarely come to the table today with no clue about what they're looking for, right? They've done their research, they've read articles, they may have already narrowed their search long before you ever hear that they're prospectively looking to replace their ERP system. And the second thing with the DRP market is, you might decide to go out and buy a new car today, right? Hey, I think I want to buy a new car today.
Mhm.
And you are as a company, you are generally not going to just randomly decide, I think I'll replace my ERP system today. That's something that's going to take a tremendous amount of thought and energy. So that's something that's budgeted and planned for. It very rarely happens spontaneously, right?
Yes, absolutely. Chuck, is there a book, a show, a movie that help shape your perspective or your career?
Wow. Uh yes, there is. And it's probably an odd choice, right? Um so I would say for me, a movie that really truly resonated with me was A Few Good Men. Do you remember A Few Good Men with
Yes.
Jack Nicholson and
Yes.
Tom Cruise? Right,
Tom Cruise. Yes.
Tom
Great. Great
Cruise
acting.
played, yeah, played the young Lieutenant Kaffee, and Jack Nicholson played Colonel Jessup, right? And it's a great movie, right? It's probably one of Jack Nicholson's like most infamous movie speeches, right? When he was up
Mhm.
on the stand and Lieutenant Kaffee finally broke him down. I mean, but that's not what resonated with me. What resonated with me is that, and I think a lot of people look at Lieutenant Kaffee as the good guy and Colonel Jessup as the bad guy, right? And Jack Nicholson plays a great bad guy, and Tom Cruise plays a great good guy, right? So they're wonderfully cast for their roles. But I think what resonated with me is that it's about perspective. It was about listening, both in your personal life and in your professional life, right? Colonel Jessup truly believed he was performing a service for the people of the United States of America. And Lieutenant Kaffee was a younger pup and had a different perspective on the world and felt that some of the methods of Colonel Jessup were wrong and were against the law, and that Colonel Jessup stepped over the line and broke the law. And I think the point of the movie was he did step over the line, but there was a time when Colonel Jessup's approach to the Marines or to the world was appropriate. It was generally accepted, right? And times are changing. So I extracted from that movie that pitting these two people against each other in this way, they were both good people and they both performed a service coming at protecting the American people from different perspectives, right? So what did that teach me in my personal life and in my professional life is that one of the best tools, one of the two best tools I have in my box are my ears for listening to what people have to say and being open to hear what they have to say, not just hear what they have to say, but
Mhm.
when I sit and I listen to somebody, it's opening my mind to accept what this person is telling me, whether it's what I believe or not. I think is, one of the most critical tools in my box. I think the second most critical tool in my box is perspective. It's being able to see the world in a different way, not just from my way, and being able to see yourself the way other people might be perceiving you, right? The world may not be, you may not be perceived in this world the way people think you are. So I know that's a long that's a long answer, but that movie hit on all of these like key business skills for me. I
Mhm.
wasn't just lost in the fun part of the movie, right? I really sort of took in what the conflict between these two people were, and it was more about that than just the hazing of this young Marine, right?
Yes, yeah, that was a great movie.
So that was
And
probably more than you hoped for, but that was my answer.
yeah, I love the answer. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. Well, you just mentioned listening. Just like in general, also in business, listener always wins, right? Because you gather the data, you listen, you understand, you analyze. Then you can take the next step accordingly because you are listening. So that is that's a critical note that you mentioned right there. Exciting. Well, that's good. Well, let's talk about a question that originally we got this question from our audience. Right, so our audience is actually very business minded. Right now, we have more than 100,000 YouTube subscribers, and this uh, question goes like this: if you had a chance to go back history, personally or historically, what time period would you like to go back, and why?
Okay. So I have two answers. Okay.
Okay.
So answer number one is I'm fascinated and I do a lot in my both my personal and my professional life with Newport, Rhode Island, and all the mansions that are here that were formed in the Gilded Age, right?
Wow. Yes.
So I'm very interested in the Gilded Age of America. I'm interested in that particular time period where the industrial world was changing dramatically, right? Some of the wealth here in Newport was built by railroads, right? Extending the railroads across the country, changing the way people travel, people vacation, opening up industry. It was also at a time when these mansions were built here in Newport. It was a time when there was no federal income tax, right? The late 1800s, there was no federal income tax, right? I mean,
Wow.
I think about how different my life would be if
Hard to
I
imagine
had
right now. Yes.
every dollar I've made since my first job when I was 14 years old, right? Not that I'm advocating for no income tax, right? But it's a point in history that
Yes.
you have to. It's a very interesting point in time to go back to. Now, would I want to live there? I wouldn't. I mean, we were almost a two-class society, right? There was the extremely wealthy, and
Yes.
then there was practically the laborers, right? And laborers were not treated well in the 1800s, right? Laborers had to fight. That's when the fight really began for better working conditions because these robber barons, didn't care. I mean, I was at a lecture recently and learned that in the late 1800s, um, it was believed that people that were laborers, people that used their brawn for work, not their brains, were not entitled to vacations. They did. There was a actually believed that they didn't need vacations because they didn't use their brain, so they didn't really need a break, right? That today, I mean, think about that. That's ridiculous. So you think about how far we've come since then.
Yes.
So I think both professionally and personally, I would be so interested in going back to the late 1800s and experiencing, even for a short minute, what that was like. But would I want to live there? Not unless I was a very wealthy person would I want to live in the late 1800s. Now, on the very personal side, I don't know if I've shared this with you previously. I'm studying to become a pilot. And so if
Wow,
I
that's
had
great.
one place to go, I would want to go back to Devil Hills in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina on that very day that the Wright brothers took their first successful flight. So yeah, I would want to be there to see that for sure.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Well, appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank
very
you for.
exciting. So those are my two answers of places I'd like to go
Yeah,
back
this
to.
is this is great. Yes, truly appreciate it. Very colorful and insightful. Well, I like to shift our conversation towards motivation and inspiration. How do you stay motivated and inspired in times of challenges?
Yeah, so that's really a great question, and it's different for everybody, right? I definitely feel as a leader that whether you're a leader or not, if you get up every day and you go to work for a paycheck, and that is the only reason why you show up at work every day, that is a much harder endeavor to stay inspired because you really weren't inspired in the first place, right? Um, so I think that for people who have chosen a career path that stemmed from an inspiration in the first place, right? And it can be anything. I know a young lady who just got her nursing license because she had a brother with a drug addiction problem and she is going into rehab, right? Well, there you go. I mean, that's an amazing inspiration and motivator. And she'll stay motivated because, she had a loved one that suffered from drug addiction, right? And that's noble. For those of us in business, perhaps less noble. Um, can speak for myself. I Before I joined the software world in 2000, when was it? 1999. Sorry, I was in the manufacturing world, the arena, and I loved solving problems. Right, so I'm driven as a person. I'm driven by problems. I'm driven by puzzles. Right. I'm fortunate in that problems and puzzles don't stress me out. I'm actually relaxed and calm and love to approach big problems or multiple problems and solve them. What I learned about myself is that I'm not the guy who should stay after the problems are solved, right? That to me, the challenge is gone, right? So for me, software was a perfect fit. I get to go into a new company all the time, understand them, their problems, help them solve those problems, and I extract extreme satisfaction out of having contributed to a company's next phase or next generation or next stage in their eco evolution of a company, right? That truly satisfies me. And when we hire people, we look for people that share in those common, we love to solve problems, and we take great satisfaction, personal satisfaction out of helping somebody. So, kind of back to the original question and opening it up to be appropriate for multiple audiences in multiple businesses, there has to be something here. You got up and came to work today for a reason. Something has to inspire you. Even if that inspiration is just camaraderie and being around people of like mind. Whatever that inspiration is, whether it's personal, professional, you have to bring that to the table. And hopefully, you've chosen a profession that continually feeds you that. I know I couldn't be happier in software. I am constantly satisfied and rewarded for our efforts as a team, not just my own personal, but as a team, right? Nothing reassures me more than when a customer comes back to me in 5 years or 10 years and says, Chuck, Copious was an instrumental part of our growth. You were as if you were a part of our company. We couldn't have done it without your organization guiding us along the way. That's it. I mean, that's the winner for me. That's what does it for me.
Nowadays, we are feeling more of the impact of AI in job market. Can you share career advice for the next generation who are entering into the job market? How can they prepare themselves for their career path, and what steps they should take to find their way in the
Yeah,
competitive marketplace?
yeah. You know, I'd like to think that I'm a progressive leader, right? And I think in many aspects I am. But like everybody, there are aspects of my personality that are maybe not as progressive as others, right? So now I'm going to sound like a dinosaur. I'm going to sound like, my great grandfather who, had to hike 5 years uphill to school and five miles uphill to school in the snow and 5 miles uphill home in the in his childhood, right? And that all sounded ridiculous, right? But I think my advice to young people heading into the market, and again, perhaps it's me not fully understanding the tools that are going to be available to young people today, right? But what I do see, and this I do see, so I'm not surmising, is people applying for jobs that do not have the knowledge, they do not have the background, and they're using AI to make themselves sound better, right? If you really truly want to be successful in any career path, do the work. You have to do the work. There is no shortcut to doing the work, right? Can AI help you write a better letter? Um, make a better impression, help you with analytics, help you do research? Absolutely. AI can do all those things for you, but you have to bring your A game. You have to do the work. AI is not going to be a shortcut for that. You're not going to be able to grow as an individual, uh, exceed in an organization, and eventually be a leader, whether that is leadership in your community, leadership in your business, leadership in politics, leadership in the world through AI knowledge. You're going to have to do the work. So that may be making me sound more like my age, but I'm sticking with it, Kevin. I'm taking that one with me to the grave. You got to do the work. Just do
You
the
got to
work.
work. Yes.
You got to do the work. Put in the hours, do the work. I mean, and I'm going to sound just like my grandfather, right? When I was 20 something years old and my boss came to me and said, we're doing an inventory this weekend, Chuck, and we're going to need you here Saturday and Sunday. The only answer was yes, sir. Yes, I will be here. What time do you need me here? Can I bring donuts? Right? You don't get that as much today anymore. And, we've lost that. And some of that needs to come back. Right? I appreciate that, with COVID, we've all had to survive that, and we've lost loved ones, and it was a horrible time, and none of us want to repeat it. However, there were also benefits. People got to work from home. People are changing how they work, and larger companies are now requiring people to go back into the office, and people are resisting, right? So we're at a very interesting and almost tenuous time where people are actually contemplating leaving jobs because they don't want to be forced back into an office, right? So there's good and bad. There's good and bad in everything, but I don't think there's any substitute for rolling up your sleeves and doing the work. It's AI is not going to be a shortcut to success. AI is a tool that's going to help you be a little bit better, a little bit smarter, make a better impression, and form well and develop well-informed analytics with less effort and quicker. But it is not a substitute for you putting in the time and the energy and being respectful and having mentors in your life to guide you through your career.
Chuck, thank you so much for sharing your professional wisdom and insights with us on this beautiful Friday morning. I must say, I was actually listening to you carefully. Those insights that you share for the next generation is very precious and very educational. Truly appreciate it.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for having me again. It was truly
Sure.
an honor, always a pleasure, and I
Thank you.
look forward to the our next interaction together.
Absolutely. Pleasure is all mine, and I wish you a great Labor Day weekend.
You too, Kevin. Take care.
Thank you very
Bye
much. Bye
bye.
now. Thank you. Well, to our audience and to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed the conversation today with Chuck Wise from Copious Solutions. He's the president of the company. We had a great conversation before a couple of months ago, and I know you liked the conversation. You asked for him again, and there you go. We had another session together. It was very informative and educational. It is actually the signature um, event that we put it together, that we meet with seasoned professionals just like Chuck, and we learn from them in terms of their professional experience, their also career journey. So there is always something new to learn, and that's how we design our podcast episodes. We always have a leader, maybe a business leader, a entrepreneur, an executive, and we learn from them. And that was one of those educational episodes. I hope you enjoyed it. I liked it very much. I also learned something new myself as well. Would you like to be a guest in our podcast? Please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We also welcome sponsors and advertisers, corporations, companies, and organizations. For advertising and sponsorship inquiries, please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We also love to hear from you. If you have a feedback, if you have an idea that you'd like to share with us, you can send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, to see our coming podcast episode schedule. Also, you can learn about the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business, our team, and you can get more information and get to know us. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we got YouTube Silver Award because we passed 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you very much for your support. We are truly inspired. We appreciate your support. We are humbled. At the same time, we are very, very motivated. We like to bring you more educational business content, and we have a great pipeline. We are pretty much all set for the year. We have great guests already signed up. We truly appreciate the interest coming from the business world, and we are right now booking for December, January, and February interviews for the American Business Podcast. What an honor. Thank you so much for your support and for being with us, for listening to us and watching our interviews and episodes on YouTube and other social media channels. We truly appreciate it. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Your subscription means a lot to us. And if you're also feeling more generous, please put your comments in the chat box on YouTube, share your thoughts, and let us know what you are thinking about the American Business Podcast and subjects. For example, today we talk about AI and regulation of AI. What do you think about regulating AI? Any thoughts? Please put your comments in the chat box and let's get the conversation continuing in the American Business Podcast business community. Well, what else is happening? We have great sponsors, and these sponsors are supporting our podcast, and we can bring you more content. Thanks to them. Miss Excel. If you like to learn about Excel and other Microsoft software systems in a fun and enjoyable way, consider Ms. Excel. I have the QR code on the screen. You can scan it and it'll take you to their website. You can see their courses. You can sign up. Before you check out, please use the discount code coming from the American Business Podcast, ABP 2025. I also have it on the screen. It'll give you additional discount with Ms. Excel courses. If you're in the market for SAP ERP and other ERP systems, SAP and Oracle and Microsoft Business Central, consider iTech Consulting. That's a reliable company based in North America, and they are specialized in SAP ERP, Oracle ERP, and Microsoft Business Central ERP systems implementation, configuration, and support. I have the QR code on the screen. Please scan the QR code. It'll take you to their website. You can learn more about their services and company. And if you're interested, please contact them. And make sure you got the information from the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. If you are in the market for a VPN software, consider IPVANISH VPN. I also use IPVANISH. It's a solid system. I have your QR code on the screen. Please scan the QR code, learn about IPVANISH VPN software. And if you're interested, if you're in need of a VPN software, subscribe to them and their service and their software. I have the QR code, so you can scan it and go to their website. As you know, last week we had the Connectional America Business Alliance online exclusive month networking event. We are getting ready for the next one, September 19. We only have 10 seats available for businesses to join, introduce their company, products, and services. That's a great opportunity for your organization, for your company, whether you are in North America or anywhere in the world, basically. Can join us. You can introduce your company, your services. The event, this business networking event, is online. You can connect from anywhere. Not only you'll be able to meet with other business professionals, you'll be also in front of thousands of business-minded The American Business Podcast subscribers, followers, and supporters. So that's a great opportunity to expand your business network and connections. You can scan the QR code. It'll take you to the registration page. Please put the information in there and register and join us. September 19 is coming up. We have a membership program, ABP membership program. If you'd like to support us, we'll truly appreciate it. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to the membership page. We have different membership programs, whichever fits your need, your preference. We welcome any kind of support in the form of membership. And we have also different benefits. You'll see the list of benefits that we are offering for different membership options. You can scan the QR code, support us, be a member, and be a part of the membership program. Really appreciate it. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. I wish you a happy Labor Day weekend. Thank you very much and have a great day.